Hello everyone. I wanted to make this video to show you how you can make this beautiful page with these simple tools. Key among these tools is this Creative Memories flexible ruler. You can take this 24-inch ruler and do several things with it, including making a layout just like this one in just a few minutes. And you can take this was just a quick throw together. You can do it this way or that way. We'll make a great make and take, a simple beginner class, and I'm about to do it for you using 2 sheets of pattern paper. I picked a background paper. I also picked a paper for the border, where I like the front to be the top of the border, and then I'm going to use the back of this to be the bottom of the border or the mat of the border, and there will be enough left over to make 2 4x6 photo mats to make a layout that looks complete, super fast, and super easy. The first steps will be to cut your pattern paper. Now, if you have a directional paper, you will want to make sure you're cutting it so that you can have the design going the direction that you want it to go. Note that with these simple pages, they look good in any direction. So it will be an individual choice as to how you want to cut your paper. Also note, this is a great way to use some scraps and reduce the number of scraps in your collection. So I've decided that I like this. This is not directional on both sides. And so I'm going to cut the papers. Okay, we're going to cut the top layer of our border to be 3.5 by 12 inches using our 12-inch trimmer. Going to cut it. Three and a half inches by 12 inches. This is our top layer. I'm going to flip it over so you can kind of tell that this is the bottom layer. Now note, this general idea will work with any width of paper that you choose. It can be greater or smaller. And you want the bottom layer to be between 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch taller than your top layer. You could also go with other layers, and you can also add embellishing edges. So we now have 3.5, and this layer is 4.5 by 12, and that should lead us with a nice 4-inch wide strip. We're going to cut it at 6 inches, and now we have 2 4-inch by 6-inch mats. Okay, now that we have our top layer and our bottom layer, we're going to center these together and use a small amount of repositionable tape to hold them together. One thing that makes this very easy is that because this is 1 inch smaller than this one, we can just use our mat to find the 1/2-inch marks and kind of line it up. So we're going to put a small amount of repositionable tape to keep these two pieces together while we're making this border. They will be taken apart, but we want the two pieces to be together. And now the fun begins. We're going to use the Creative Memories flexible ruler and create our own individual design of lumps and bumps and curves to suit us. I recommend not making them too wide or too deep in this direction because you don't want to get too close to the edge of your top layer paper. But this looks pretty good. You come across with a design that you feel satisfied with, and that's your curve. Once you have the curve that you're happy with, you can position it in the middle. There's no measuring here. That's one of the beauties of this. So we'll take a pencil and we'll lightly draw the shape of the curve onto our paper. It doesn't have to be perfect. Did we get it? We get it. So you can see the line on the paper. The next thing we do, with the two layers adhered together, we'll cut this. It is important to cut the two layers at the same time so that they will align with each other when you go to layer them for the final time. If you try, especially with this ruler, to cut them one at a time, you will struggle to get a perfect alignment. If that's what you want, you may want an offset. In that case, you can cut them separately, and that will give you the opportunity to come up with even more unique designs. Don't worry about getting the cuts perfectly on the line. Make a shape that you like, because that's what the eraser is for. Okay, so we have the shape now. And if you want to erase extra pencil lines, that's why you can have an eraser, a white eraser. I would recommend not trying to use a red eraser. Use a white eraser. I'm going to take a moment here, lightly, because you made a light pencil line. It really doesn't take much to get rid of the line. Another thing you can possibly do, if you so choose, you can ink the edges. Most often I do ink my edges, but for this demonstration, I am not inking the edges. You can preserve your shape, or the next time you come through, make a totally different shape. So it's never exactly the same. So now, because we only lightly adhere these, we can take them apart. This time, give it a more generous amount of adhesive. If you wanted to ink the edges also, now would be the time to put the ink on the edges. But now I'm going to center this. Now, because the bottom layer is approximately began at 1 inch wider than the top layer, we're going to have approximately a 1/4 inch mat to the border. I also like to make the bottom layer 3/4 of an inch as opposed to a full inch. And when that occurs, you'll have a more narrow border. You could, and I will illustrate, you could actually make the border as wide or as narrow as you choose. So if you did more narrow at, say, this side, you'd have more width on this end, and that would provide room for perhaps a border sticker or something else. So you make it the way you like, and of course you could do it either way. I believe the soft this This sheet of paper came from the 2025 NSD Advisor Accessory Paper Pack. I don't have this on quite straight. And I'm pulling a base paper from Grand Times. And I love the brown. I love how you put this on here. And now we have a beautiful layout. Super fast, super easy, no intimidating tools. And you have a unique and beautiful layout. I hope you got a lot from this. It was my pleasure doing it.